Okay, let's talk about 100 Years of Solitude. You've probably heard of it, right? It's one of those monumental books, a total game changer for literature. But let's be real, it's also notoriously dense. We're talking 7 generations, a huge cast of characters, and a plot that can make your head spin. So the big question is, where do you even start with a book like this? Well, that's what we're here for. We're going to dive in and unpack the big ideas that really make this masterpiece work. All right, so to really get this book, we have to start with one massive, kind of mind-bending question. I want you to just forget everything you think you know about how time works. Past, present, future, all that. Instead, imagine this. What if it wasn't a straight line? What if it was a circle? What if your life, your history, was all just one big loop, repeating over and over again forever? Just let that sink in for a second. Keep that idea in your head, because it's the key to everything. You know that famous line from Shakespeare, right? What's in a name? The whole idea is that a name is just a label. It doesn't really matter. But Gabriel Garcia Marquez, he completely flips that idea on its head. In his world, a character says a person suffers too much with that name. Think about that. It's not just a label, it's a burden. It's a curse. A name is your destiny, already written out for you. And that brings us to our first big idea. In this book, your name is so much more than just what people call you. It's basically the script for your entire life, and you're stuck playing the part. So, check this out. The Buendia family, the main family in the novel, basically has 2 models for its men, and it all comes down to the name. If your name is Aureliano, you're going to be the quiet, thoughtful, intense type. Super smart, but alone. On the other hand, if you're a Jose Arcadio, you're the complete opposite. You're impulsive, full of life, huge personality, but you're also basically marked for tragedy from day one. It's an unbreakable pattern. And you gotta understand, this isn't just some weird family quirk. No way. This constant repetition is the whole point. It's a curse for sure, but it's also the engine that drives the entire novel. Garcia Marquez is using it to say something huge about time and fate. Which brings us back to that idea of time we talked about earlier. See, for the Buendias, time doesn't move forward. It's not about progress. It's a loop. It's a trap. Now, Garcia Marquez was a huge fan of the writer William Faulkner. And this Faulkner quote, it absolutely nails the feeling of this book. The past is never dead. It's not even past. In the world of this novel, the past isn't just a memory. It's alive. It's happening right now, all around them, and it's destined to happen all over again. So what does that mean for the people living in this world? Well, it means they're kind of stuck. They're basically doomed to live out the same lives as their parents and grandparents, the same victories, and more importantly, the same tragic mistakes. They think they're moving forward, but really, they're just spinning in a circle. And here's the proof. Look at how the family's 100-year story is framed. It all starts with a couple who are cousins, and they're terrified that their child is going to be born with the tail of a pig. Okay, fast forward. 100 years go by. There are wars, revolutions, huge fortunes made and lost, massacres, the whole shebang. And how does the family line end? With another incestuous couple who have a child born with the tail of a pig. Boom, the circle is complete. The prophecy comes true. So, you might be wondering, how on earth do you write a story like this? A story where time is a circle and ghosts just hang out like it's no big deal. Well, you need a very specific, very special style. And that brings us to our next point. That style is called magical realism, and Garcia Marquez is pretty much the king of it. Now, this isn't like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. It's not a separate fantasy world. It's our world, the real, gritty, ordinary world, except magical things happen, and nobody bats an eye. A beautiful girl literally floats up into the sky while folding her bedsheets, and people just kind of accept it. That's magical realism. But here's the thing, it's not just for cool, weird effects. It's actually a really powerful political tool. It's a way of saying that the official story, the version of history that powerful people want you to believe, isn't the whole story. It's a way to get at deeper, stranger, and sometimes more honest truths. See, Garcia Marquez was trying to capture the reality of 20th century Latin America. And that reality was filled with so much violence, so many bizarre political twists, and so much foreign interference that it often felt surreal. It was so chaotic and unbelievable that for him, a straightforward, realistic novel just couldn't do it justice. Only magical realism was wild enough to tell the truth. And that brings us to the political heart of the book. Because this story isn't just about a fascinating family, it's a deep, deep look at power and what it does to people. What's so interesting is that the book doesn't really pick a side politically. It's been called an apolitical condemnation of power. The message isn't that one party is good and the other is bad. The message is that the thirst for power itself is a poison, and it corrupts absolutely everyone who touches it, no matter what they claim to believe. Take the endless civil war in the book, for example. At the beginning, you have two sides with seemingly clear ideas. You've got the liberals, who want to modernize things, separate church and state, and then you've got the conservatives, who believe they're defending God and tradition. But after 32 failed rebellions and endless bloodshed, what happens to those grand ideals? They just evaporate. They get bargained away, forgotten, until eventually the great liberal hero, Colonel Aureliano Buendia, finally admits what the war has become. He says, "All we're fighting for is power." That's it. The ideas are gone. Only the fight remains. This brutal cycle of power reaches its absolute darkest point with one single chilling number: 3,000. 3,000. That's the number of workers at a foreign-owned banana plantation who dare to go on strike. They gather in the town square to protest, and the army just opens fire. They machine gun all of them, load the bodies onto a 200-car train, and just dump them into the sea. And this is where magical realism becomes absolutely terrifying. Because after this atrocity, the most unbelievable thing happens. A kind of magical amnesia falls over the town. The government puts out the official story. Nothing happened. There was no massacre. And the people, they start to forget. They believe the lie. It's this horrifying idea that power isn't just about controlling the present. It's about erasing the past. Okay, so everything we've talked about, the names that equal fate, time being a circle, the corrupting nature of power, and memory being erased, it all comes crashing together in the novel's absolutely stunning conclusion. So it turns out the whole 100-year history of this family, it was never random. The entire story had been written down a century before it even started, recorded on some mysterious parchments by a gypsy. Every birth, every death, every war, every single repeating name, it was all scripted from the very beginning. And then we get to the very end. The last living member of the family finally figures out how to read these parchments, and as he's reading, he gets a shock. He's not just reading about his ancestors, he's reading about himself. Right now, in this exact moment. He reads the words describing his own death, just as a massive hurricane hits and wipes the town, the house, and the entire family off the map forever. The book literally ends by describing its own ending as it happens. Mind-blowing. The book's very last line is a chilling final thought. Races that are condemned to 100 years of solitude do not have a second opportunity on Earth. It's this absolute, final judgment, a brutal end to the cycle. And it leaves you wondering, is this just the story of one imaginary family in a forgotten town? Or is it a warning about what happens to any of us, to any society that gets trapped in a loop and refuses to learn from its own past?